Failures are necessary in life. They are not the end, but the beginning of something greater. Every setback is a setup for a comeback. Today, let's explore a story that proves failure isn't defeat. It's the fuel for success. Stay tuned for a journey of resilience and triumph. Once upon a time, there was a person named John who was always thinking about a big success. John had always dreamed of making a name for himself. Growing up in a small town, he was filled with ambition, but life seemed determined to test him at every turn. As a child, John was fascinated by science and inventions. He would take apart radios, clocks, and even his mother's blender, just to see how they worked. His father, a strict and practical man, constantly scolded him. "Stop wasting time on useless experiments. Get serious about life," his father would say. But John was relentless. He wanted to create something that would change the world. At the age of 16, he participated in a national science fair with an invention, an energy-efficient generator. He worked day and night, pouring his heart and soul into it. But when the judges tested his device, it short-circuited and exploded in front of everyone. Laughter erupted from the audience. Humiliated and heartbroken, John ran out of the auditorium. His father's words echoed in his mind. "I told you this was a waste of time." That night, John decided to give up on inventing. He would do what everyone expected: study, get a job, and live a normal life. John buried his passion and pursued business studies, following the safe path. After graduation, he joined a prestigious company. His life was stable, but deep inside he felt empty. One day, while working late, he met an old janitor named Mr. Harris. The man had been working in the company for 30 years, yet he always seemed content. "Why do you look so happy?" John asked. Mr. Harris chuckled. "Because I failed 1,000 times, and now I know that failure is just another step forward." John frowned. "That makes no sense." The old man smiled. "Then let me tell you a story." Mr. Harris explained how he once owned a bakery, but after a bad investment, he lost everything. Instead of giving up, he worked as a janitor while learning about business. Eventually, he planned to restart his bakery. "Failure isn't the end, son. It's the beginning. You just have to look at it differently." That night, John couldn't sleep. His passion for inventing came rushing back. The next morning, John made a bold decision. He quit his job. Everyone called him crazy, including his father. But John had made up his mind. He spent months researching, designing, and building his invention: a compact, affordable solar-powered generator for underdeveloped regions. After a year of relentless effort, he was ready to pitch it to investors. His hands trembled as he walked into the boardroom of a major company. This was his second chance. The executives listened to his presentation, nodding. But then came the verdict. "We like your passion, but your product isn't practical. It won't work at scale." Another rejection. John felt like history was repeating itself. But this time, he refused to give up. John improved his design and tried again. Another rejection, then another. Over the next 2 years, he heard no more times than he could count. He ran out of money, lived in a tiny apartment, and sometimes went days eating nothing but instant noodles. One night, staring at his failed prototypes, he broke down. "Maybe my father was right. Maybe I'm not meant for this." Just as he was about to quit, he received an unexpected call. It was Mr. Harris. "Still failing, kid?" John sighed. "Yeah, and I'm exhausted." "Good," Harris said. "That means you're learning. Now get up and fail better tomorrow." John laughed for the first time in months. Harris was right. As long as he kept improving, failure wasn't the end. It was just another step forward. John refined his generator once more, making it cheaper and more efficient. This time, instead of pitching to big corporations, he targeted small communities. He traveled to remote villages and personally installed his invention. The response was overwhelming. Families who had never had electricity before now had light in their homes. News spread like wildfire. A journalist covered John's story, and soon investors came knocking. His invention was no longer seen as impractical. It was revolutionary. Within a year, John's company, Solar Hope, became a global name. The same investors who rejected him now wanted in. He was featured in magazines, invited to speak at conferences, and even received a message from his father. "I was wrong. I'm proud of you, son." At an international summit, John stood before thousands and shared his journey. I failed more times than I can count, but each failure taught me something new. The world sees failure as the end, but I see it as a stepping stone. If you're failing, congratulations. You're on your way to success. As the audience erupted in applause, John smiled. He had learned the greatest lesson of all. Failure isn't the opposite of success. It's part of it.
So friends, this is today's video. So if you like this video, like and don't forget to subscribe our channel. See you soon until then, take care and bye-bye.